Hey my Immortal Nerds, welcome to today's video for the latest Diablo Immortal patch. Whirlwind and Hammer of the Ancient received some love for our best class, the Barbarian. But not only that, older essences were buffed and we can get now up to 10 million DPS spikes and nearly 300 million damage per minute. Follow me now through the PvE and PvP changes and let's discover if there's a new meta waiting for us. Spoiler, yes and no. I got my hands now on the new essences very quickly this time because I saved up my loyalty bonus and all reward boxes from the Trial of the Hordes mode for the gold 1 rank and the top 100 reward. So 5 already for free waiting for me and 1 I farmed by accident. I'm still sitting on 50 plus mystery boxes here and I will just use them for a different class. Let's see what that will be. Cool, so maybe this helps you as a tip for the next time. Save your stuff and now let's take a look into the new essences. We start with Whirlwind, the first main hand, the Widespread Blame. It says that it now shatters enemy armor and significantly increasing the attack speed. For the other one, the Shoulders, we now have the effect that it makes the hits more vulnerable, means increasing the critical hit chance against that enemy. Both effects are stacking effects and this is quite interesting. Let's go into the details. For the detailed text we see that the Sliver Wind now increases the attack speed to 100% and dealing nearly 10k damage, and it can stack the increased damage 5 times, so 15%. And the Shoulder now creates a chance to improve the critical hit chance to 24%. Both means bonuses for everyone who's hitting that enemy, so it's a big support buff. So you see it's quite charming, it makes a good damage, it's channeling with 100% attack speed, it's gone quite fast and you can still improve the attack speed with, for example, the attack speed helmet or with the leap, it's still getting faster as this. Next one is a new Hammer of the Ancient chest, the Umble Drape. It says then when the hammer hits an enemy, it drops additional hammers on nearby enemies, dealing another 50% of the original damage as well, but just once every 3 seconds. You can get damage increase, and awakened you get another 10% damage. The other one is the main hand, the Flickertonne. It says the Restless Hammer, that the Hammer of the Ancient now charges energy and can be used to increase the damage and the radius of the skill itself. So what does it mean in detail? When we look at the description, the Restless Hammer says that the charge will now deal a minimum damage, so while not charged, of 28k, and with each attack we do, we get 20 energy up to a maximum of 100. So every 5th attack will lead to a fully charged hammer that then deals 85k damage. So it's a big blast you can get here with that charging. In addition, the cooldown of this skill is now just 1 second. So you can use it very, very often. Okay, with the chest it says in the details that it will drop an additional hammer here again that deals 50% of the damage, can just occur every 3 seconds, and we have another damage increase. So both awakened slots will give you another 20% damage. When we look into action, you will see that it will deal very good amounts of damage, and everything you do, every dot, every gem, everything will just charge that skill. Next new essence is the Helmet Essence for the Wrath. Here we can mention that we have a new change for the dots of the Wrath, but we will tackle that later on. The helmet just increases the crit chance by nearly 20%. So it's a good passive improvement for our Wrath. And lastly, the Plummet Proudly new pants for the Leap that gives us 28.5 5% attack speed for 3 seconds once we activate the leap. So good passive, regular thing. Now friends, this was just a very quick walk through the new essences, and now we need to see what does all of this stuff means for our PvE and PvP. So first we need to see that in addition to the new essences, we received a lot of changes for current skills, for current essences, and this is what I will cover first to give you an idea what this really means for us in the PvE, because it means a lot. Okay, so let's start with those changes. Sundered Legacy and the Fire Trail shoulders received a change in how the fire dot will work. So instead of a tick every 1 second, we get now a tick every 0.5 seconds. This was the first change. Next one was for the Bergbreaker. It's a passive for the Wrath that deals the counter attack. It has now an increased damage and increased range damage because it now takes every 0.3 seconds. So you get a lot more counter attacks out of this. Next one, Lacerate. We had the main hand of the Ardent Fervor that had a 35% attack speed stack once you receive damage. Now it has a 45% attack speed change. And last thing, the Wrath. Because it is a common skill for us, I put it in here. We now have a helmet to boost the crit chance. So this stuff together is very good, because Sundered Legacy, the impact buff, or the impact of the change, is a buff for our low resonance guys. Because what you do not have as a low resonance is enough potency to attach your dot to the enemy. So in the past time you had a tick and another one that it was gone. Now you have a tick and another one and that is gone. So the duration did not really help you much here. It was only good for high resonance players. So as you do not have that much ticks anymore, it will be off your chest more earlier. But it will deal more damage in that time. So this is again good for us, because as a low resonance player, when we are close to enemies, we can deliver our dot, we can activate any banquet or anything that needs a dot to work, and when we are gone, okay, it's off, but in that time we dealt more damage. So it's a good thing that changed. It will help us. But the Bergbreaker that has now a damage and a range increase buff, it will honestly kill the Sundered Legacy. It's just too strong and deals a huge amount of damage, and it can be triggered by yourself with the shoulders that inflicts damage on yourself. So this is one of the most important changes for your single target damage DPS Bergbreaker. It is now officially new meta for PvE. Same goes for Lacerate. Lacerate with the 45% now we have 10% increase instead of the Frenzy Riddleroo, which gives you 50% attack speed. But there's a difference between those two. Lacerate in the past and even now stacks nicely with other attack speed buffs, while the Riddleroo from the Frenzy did not stack in any way. So Lacerate now, with all of the different stacks you can have on attack speed, coming from reforges, coming from pants, from helmet, from whatever, stacks nicely and gets even faster than the 45%. You can get to 60, 65, 70%. And this is where Lacerate now is the new meta even for PvE. And lastly, Crit Wrath, the new helmet. The passive boost of 20% to your critical hit chance. We had the Ostlag that gave us a Firestorm proc. We had the Squirm that gives us an additional attack speed. All of them are nice, but the crit now will kick those one off the table and is the new meta for PvE. Let me show to you why this is the case. For the existing, or for my existing build, for the Frenzy build, there were some changes. For the highest DPS builds, I equipped the Hammer of the Ancient as a passive, because I kicked out the sprint, and I can get another damage source by here. And with that whole setup, I can get to 230, 240 million damage per minute. It's a very solid build, focuses on everything to improve your damage, of course. But this is really the highest I could get. So even with the new essences here, we had with the helmet, the crit helmet, I was not able to get over this point. But with the new Lacerate now, and here with the Lacerate, I honestly need to say that the stack of the Squirm helmet is still a good thing because it stacks with the attack speed of the Ardent Fervor. So I stick with the Squirm helmet here to get more speed. So I kick out the Ancient Hammer and put in the Sprint again. And with that, I can really get to crazy results. Of course, check out my latest video with the max damage list. Of course, you need to get detested, you need to get the right sets and everything. Check out this video, I will link it to you here. And when you follow the different steps, you can get to a new, my personal damage best with the Barbarian beneath all of the changes like the runes and everything that gives 30-40 million damage. I can get now to a 270 million damage per minute. This is my personal best, and it's really nice because and here I focused of course on damage gems and everything, but you can even go a bit more crazier and go in with the void or anything and can get to a 10 million damage peak with that setup. It's, I think, the highest damage I ever had with a Barbarian, and it's pretty crazy to have that. So for the PvE, I think this is a new meta. Lacerate build with the crit helmet or the Squirm helmet. Go with Asunder to get that damage boost. Go with chains and everything, and it's a perfect PvE build for everything you can do. You're fast, you are very high on DPS, you still have a lot of crowd control. It's just nice. And of course, take the Bergbreaker. Cool. After those adjustments to improve our DPS, we have 3 new things, new essences, new build kinds for the PvE. Of course, the new Whirlwind essences that could result in the Whirlwind build, the new Leap pants that could help us, and the Hammer of the Ancient essences on the chest and the main hand. Okay, Whirlwind, to be honest, it has a very high cooldown. It's gone in a second. Yes, it has some damage, of course, and you can use it for kind of a support build in PvE to apply damage to raid bosses or anything, but there honestly is other stuff. So for my opinion, the Whirlwind is not relevant for PvE. It's gone too fast, you will not have it available long enough, and yeah, it's useless. Same goes for the Leap. The new attack speed Leap pants. Nice, of course, but you could have the alternative of a crit pants, and you could have the alternative of your Shackled Fate damage increase. And both of that is just more valuable than to have that attack speed on the Leap. So in my opinion, Leap, at least the attack speed variant, not relevant for PvE. But the Hammer of the Ancient, that one is very nice, because you can go like crazy with that in PvE. It's not replacing the meta I just showed you before, honestly, but it's a very cool build because it has a huge damage output. With a very simple build focused on, of course, stun, focused on the new essences, focused on the Leap to apply the stun, you can get crazy hits. Like here, you can get up to a 1.5, nearly 2 million hit that you can just spam to the enemies, because Leap is working really good in this case to apply the stun, and we can have a very high damage output. For mobs, this works pretty good because you can just leap on them, Leap gets cooldown reduction once it hits a full HP enemy. So I think there was kind of a leapfrog build, and with that hammer it really shines now, because you can if you reduce the cooldown of the leap very much, you can just hop and hammer, and just can spam it, and it's a lot of fun. You deal the red mobs fast, the yellow mobs fast, they all fall like instant. It's just a lot of work because you need to move a lot. Okay, so for PvE, yeah, it changes what we use as a meta, but I think the hammer build is just an on top nice to have skill. This could be very cool in the endless mode, this could be nice in Terror Rifts. If you're lacking damage, this could be nice for you. But in general, it will stay mostly as it is with the adjustments of the already existing essences. For PvP, this looks, I would say, a bit different. So let's have a look at the stuff we have. We have the current Spartask Chains meta. This one is still valid, of course. It will not vanish like anything because of a small demoralize cooldown adjustment. This will not kill this build or anything. It's still very valid. We might have new Whirlwind builds with the new essences, and we might have new hammer builds. So let's start with the current meta. It will stick to the CC debuff, Helmet of Spartask and the Shackled Fate to control our enemies, to pull them, to cancel out the Satyrs, to cancel out enemy Barbarians. For the Wrath, I think it will change, depending on the sets you're using. If you are a high resonance player and going with a 6-piece banquet, you need your Sundered Legacy. You will still stick to that because you have a high mobility, you run around a lot to deal a lot of dots to the enemy, you need your burn here, you need the Sundered Legacy. For all of the other guys, going more with a Baron set, going with a Flagellant set or whatever, you will now go or move to the Bergbreaker. Because that thing, if you sit the idle, if you're in there, deals a huge amount of damage to everyone around you. You don't want to miss that damage. It's really, really good. It procs a lot, even more than you can proc it yourself with the Wrath shoulder, because of every dot that hits you will just trigger that Bergbreaker. And you have 100% uptime if you have the proper awakenings. Lastly, Ardent Fervor, so the Lacerate, will stay. Because of that change with a higher attack speed, it's even better now. It has a good damage output in PvP, and Frenzy still sees no light in PvP. It is Lacerate as the main skill in PvP. So no real change to the current meta. We just got a bit stronger with the Sundered Legacy and the Lacerate change and the Bergbreaker, of course. Hammer builds. So, having those two essences, the Flickertonne and the Umble Drape. And honestly, the Flickertonne is a bit more important because of that 1 second cooldown, or even shorter. It's a very, very short cooldown, and you can spam now the Hammer of the Ancient. And this is why it is relevant for PvP. It really is a thing, and you should test it out. What does it work with? Of course, you have the Stonefall, it's a main hand essence to boost the damage even more of the Flickertonne. So think about that, nearly 100k damage output, even boosted by that, what do you get, 30% of that main hand. It's worth a thought. Other essences that works pretty good with it are the Shocking Chaos, of course, to deliver a stun, and the Spartask, same idea, deliver a stun, and then going with the Luring Club. That gives you 66.5 and another 10% through the Awakening damage increase of the Flickertonne. And yes, the damage is kind of capped in the battleground. Okay, you will not deal a million damage hits there, but you, especially when your fortitude is very, very high, you can one-shot enemies. It can happen with a crit, if you have a good crit chance here. So there, the Umble Drape comes into the relevance, because You do not need necessarily the chest that boosts your hammer damage again, because every boost will be kind of in vain. The damage is already on the maximum. Another damage boost here will not help. So the Umble Drape will give you a second hit. And a second hit, when you deal, I don't know, a 100k damage, you will get another 50k damage hit. So having on the first hit a damage improvement of 50% would only result in a very, very small improvement. From 100k you maybe go to 105, 110 because it's capped. But another hit will give you the full potential again. So that's why Umble Drape is pretty interesting. Don't go for, I don't know, how's it called, the 70% maximum damage increase for every negative effect. Go with the Umble Drape, it's better in this case. Cliff Divers on the pants help you with an increase of the crit chance if you go for a leap build, or the Metal or Mine if you already have a high crit chance, then just maybe use that damage, especially for the Umble Draped second hit again. For the Whirlwind builds, we want of course look onto the new essences we have here. So the Widespread Blame, that gives us this crazy 100% attack speed, and the Weight of War, that gives us critical hit chance. In this case, we do not have, like in the, I think 2 patches ago, yeah, something like that, we do not have a self-inflicted damage. Shoulder from the Wrath is gone, we don't have primary attacks, and the old Whirlwind main hand is gone, where we inflict damage on ourselves, which was totally useless in PvP. So we cannot use the old chest of the critical hit chance increase for every damage we received. Plus, honestly, it was useless because we had no CC at all. So now we can go back to the Gathering. We have a CC now. We can pull enemies with our Whirl. This is nice. And we still get this crit chance from the shoulders. What would work as well, if you go for any support build, you can use the 5 Fresh Claws, that because the attack speed is very, very fast, 100%, you deal all of the, I don't know, 20 hits or something in 2 seconds. So 10 hits per second. It's like you start whirling and you already applied 5 hits to the enemy. So that's why the damage is pretty low, of only 10k, because otherwise it would be absolutely bombastic. But because of the damage is really low, you deal some damage, but the main idea is the ramp up of stacks. So the ramp up of stacks helps you here, for example, with the Ox Horns. The 3 hits to apply the bleed on the enemy. It's like once you start whirling, the enemy is already bleeding. So you can whirl through a whole lane and everyone there would get the bleed. Same goes for the 5 Fresh Claws, because if you want to do that, you get that 10% damage increase on everyone. So not only the 50% from the right spread, not only the 25% from the Weight of War, no, the 10 you can get as well. So 25 crit increase, 25 damage increase for everyone. And this is why supporting might be a thing in here. Okay. Same goes for the Ungmet. So if you go for a dot build, you could go for the Ungmet, because everyone will instantly get this 3 dots on them. It's working really nice. And what helps you, of course, here is you could now create the stacks for a Flickertonne. It's for the hammer that needs a ramp up 2 of 5 hits. Same goes for the Fang, of course. That gives you a damage increase. It's I think the best rank 2 gem here for this build. Nice damage improvement for your PvP. So think about it. We had the hammer build that needs a ramp up. Now we get 2 wall essences that deliver a ramp up. This could work together, right? And indeed it does. It does work very, very nice. You can combine the Hammer of the Ancient with a Whirl to get permanently up 1 to 2 million damage spam hammer a spammer, that has a nice synergy between those two skills. In my opinion, it's the upgrade of an old video I posted. I think I called it the shotgun build, because you can now leap into enemies, wall shortly to gather them, and then give them a proper blow with the Hammer of the Ancient. And not just one moving back, waiting for a cooldown or anything, and then coming back. You can just spam it. You wall, spam, hit, wall, hit, wall, hit. And then you have one issue, of course. We get into stun locks, definitely. So that's why I think you need at least one of those two solutions. The Heartless Terror as a combination, then you are a bit slower because you have no sprint or anything. You can go with a Demoralize, then the Whirl and the Hammer to just whirl through the enemies and hammer whenever you have your 5 stacks. Or you could go with the Leap build with the Cast Defiance to make you at least less vulnerable to knockbacks, to leap into the enemy, to close the distance to them, wall shortly, to gather them, to pull them, apply all of these stacks, and then hammer them to the death. So both combination works pretty good. I think there's even a third one where you say, I go without the leap and without the whirl, I just go with the Heartless Terror and a sprint with a fire trail to deliver dots, because dots ramp up our Hammer of the Ancients as well. Many solutions, but I brought you some, of course, and I brought you a little video here from some PvP fights I had. So have a look and let me prove to you that it really works. Okay, so check out this this video. I think what I did here, or what I want to do, is I want to get directly into the enemies and yeah, utilize my Undying Rage as much as possible and just spamming my hammer into that messes. So having a leap is a good initiator, because even if you're slow, you can close the distance to the enemies, and this is really important. And then, because of that shield from the Cast Defiance, you get that short immunity, and of course you always have a nice escape when your Undying Rage runs out. You can just leap out of the enemies and have a shield to survive. So I think that one is pretty good. Leap, shortly wall, hammer. And you see I get my kill streaks. Of course, in this video here, it's not the toughest enemies, and I'm not having the highest resonance and everything. This build works best against lower armor builds, of course, because then the full damage potential comes out. But even versus the stronger enemies, it can shine. You will die sometimes, definitely. It's not a surviving build, it's a kamikaze build. But what you can do is leap through the enemies, try to get to the enemy backline and just spam your hammer. So it's a good assassin build. And with that build you will, I think, be at the upper end of the chart with kills very, very easy. Yes, this is not the main idea of our Barbarian. I get it. You want to normally sit the idle and make use of your Undying Rage there. But can't we just have fun sometimes? And if you want to have some fun games, I think this build will help you very much. If you want to have your revenge on the demon hunters and on the mages and even on the Tempest, that build can help you to do that, because you have a very, very high damage output. It's nice. I have played another variant, and I think that one is working pretty good as well, with a sprint and the demoralize. So sprint with the fire trail and demoralize, of course, with the vipers to deliver a lot of dots to the enemies, because every dot will help us to ramp up that hammer as well. And having that hammer passively active without needing to do anything, like to do a wall or anything, of course helps you to spam that massive damage even more. So a dot build might be a good thing for that hammer as well. Yeah guys, overall that's it, the new essences and adjustments. What do I think about it? They improved our meta for the PvE. We have more damage. I think we got a 30% damage increase, 20 to 30% damage increase from the last meta to the new one, in an overall perspective. That is nice. Is it really changing anything? No, not necessarily, but it makes a lot of things easier. For the PvP, again, they didn't change the meta. They stick to the Spartusk stuff and the chains. Those two in combinations are just too strong to be a barbarian that actually helps in the battleground. But what they gave us is a bit of fun, a bit of valid fun. So when you think about games where you have 4 or 5 barbarians in there and now everyone is using the same Spartusk build, it gets boring like hell. So what they gave us is a valid Hammer of the Ancient burst damage build that actually can improve the variety of barbarians in the battleground. And it's not like a troll build where you actually lose impact or something. You're really having a lot of impact with that build and you will have some fun. So to have a little bit of variety in the PvP is what they gave us, in my opinion. So I like the changes. It's not that heavy as in the last one, but honestly, how should that be? They cannot make the barbarian even stronger. It's already very strong. But they gave us something to play with and really to have fun with. And honestly, thank you for that. I like it. I like it very much. Cool, guys. I hope you enjoy the new essences as much as I do. Have fun playing that stuff and testing it out. Definitely, maybe I do not see something and you find a godlike combo, then please tell me in the comments. Feel free to like the video if you do so and to subscribe, of course. And in my next videos, I think I will cover more of the PvE stuff and I will give you a deep insight and build guide to that hammer build I just showed you. So guys, have fun and see you soon.
My wounds run deep.